Many things have happened in my life since the last time I gave you update. This, 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 and this. I'll brief you everything today on the occasion of 8th anniversary of our YouTube channel. Alright, so let's start with the biggest update in my life. That is, I joined AMD recently. It's been, I think, 6 months almost, and actually moved from Ottawa to Markham. And for people who don't know where Markham is, it's actually closer to Toronto. In fact, you can actually see the CN Tower, the tallest tower from here, right in Markham. And I'm actually sitting behind one of the AMD buildings, So we have like 2 buildings and a massive space. Yeah, before I share my experience of the job with you, first, I think I'd like to share my interview, journey, because I think it is one of the best interviews that I've had. And plus it gave me a lot of insights, right? And then boosted my confidence by multiple folds. So I think it was late August last year, 2025, that I received a call from a recruitment company who were interviewing on behalf of AMD. And I had no expectations. I just gave the interview and cleared the first 2 rounds, and the final round was with all of the interviewers were from AMD and really experienced. I think if I'm not wrong, then almost all of them served for over 25 years in this company. So you can imagine their expertise. So I was a little bit nervous, because when you know that you will be interviewed by these senior most people, then obviously, but then I had enough confidence to move forward and just try my best. So like all interviews, this started with simple questions, simple technical questions. And when they saw that I'm answering pretty much every easy question, so they increased the toughness level of the question and then moved to like really advanced topics, right? So one of the interviewers, he asked me a question about harmonics, right? So because I showed him, literally showed him one of the PCBs that I was building from the past few months, he asked me about harmonics, right? So harmonics, which harmonics should we really focus on, right? And then why it matters, right? So I told him that the odd harmonics, right? Because I think I have a good grasp on a lot of the electrical and electronic concepts. I told him that it is the odd harmonics, right? Especially the 3rd and 5th harmonics, and also the higher ones. But then the higher ones, the effect of them, it actually decreases exponentially. So you only really consider 3rd harmonics and 5th harmonic of the fundamental. So after I gave him this answer, he was like really satisfied. I could see that, because as soon as I gave that answer, he said, almost immediately that, all right, I'm done, and I don't have any questions, for him. And I think that this guy knows everything, basically. And he actually laughed. So you can imagine how big of a statement is this. And I was charged up, because when someone so senior, I think, senior people, they can easily gauge how much knowledge a person has, right? Especially the young engineers, right? Because they have seen a lot, right? And even one question sometimes can be enough for them to gauge how much the person knows, right? So, and then after that, the other senior engineer, he asked me about protocols. So it started with UART, USB, and then SPI, I2C, and I answered almost all of them, because I have personally worked on them, not just during internships, but I have also worked on them on my personal projects. So I just answered all of the questions, which I consider almost complete. And then after asking all of these tech-related questions, when they realize that I know enough for the role, then they move to the non-tech questions, right? For example, behavioral questions. So the 3rd engineer, who is actually my manager, and she asked me about, simple behavioral questions like why even I'm moving here, why I'm moving cities so far away. And then I replied to her that, especially when you're young, you should not really be bound by any geography, right? Or any city. So just move where there's best tech, right? And obviously when there's a giant like AMD, I think it is more than worth it to move cities or even countries sometimes, that. And then also that you should be open to learn as many things as possible. Now coming back to my position at AMD, which is electrical systems engineer, one of the coolest titles. And right now it is contractual. It's a 12-month contract with high probability of extension. I personally feel that this position is broad enough that it is really interesting to me. It is not focused on one specific thing, right? Like it's a mixture of everything. We do compliance, we also assist in design sometimes. There are a lot of different teams that we collaborate with. It is very interesting. Plus, add really advanced scopes on the planet. They're so expensive. Like one scope actually can cost, once or twice the amount of an actual apartment, let's say in Toronto. And these are state of the art. They can go up 50 gigahertz, even 100 gigahertz, So they're really, really expensive scopes. Plus the tech that you get to learn, it is just amazing. And talking about the industry itself, this you can say comes under high speed input output, which we call HSIO, right? This actually pertains to a lot of different technologies, right? So for example, DisplayPort, HDMI, PCIe, right? USB, MIPI, right? And similar things. Personally, right now, I'm actually working more on the DP side, right? So the DisplayPort, very advanced, which can actually support 20 Gbps per lane, which is crazy fast, right? So we use spam modulation for that, and it is very susceptible to electrical noise. So imagine the engineering that goes behind enabling that technology on a PCB. And business unit wise, because AMD is such a big organization, right? They do many things, right? They design chips, they even design systems, right? And here I'm actually working on their client, business unit, which is that AMD actually helps other companies to build their platforms, right? Not just chips, but entire platforms even. I'm actually helping one of their clients that even I don't know because they use code names. And I know for a fact all of these clients, they are the biggest names, like Amazon, we have Steam, right? We have Meta, we have other companies. So it is very exciting for me to know that the tech I'm working on is the cutting edge in the entire world, right? So it's a really good feeling, and at the same time, there is a lot to learn, and the pace at which technology is moving, you just have to keep up, right? Which I love. I learn a lot of things on my own, right? But still sometimes I do get overwhelmed by this much complexity, and like I say, learning is anyways lifelong. Okay, so now let's discuss about, life goals, reflection that I did for getting the job. If you guys know, last year I was crying that I don't have a job, right? And even I didn't imagine that it would take that long, almost a year for me to get a job, because the job market was pretty bad. I tried and actually lost count of interviews that I gave, but I know that for sure it's over 12, and this is where they gave me an opportunity, because I experienced job disruption even before I started a job. That really forced me to think about the job future, job security, right? What's going to happen in the future. With this AI boom, we see a lot of jobs affected across the industry, right? I think personally, something like system level thinking or product level thinking, these people, they will be more resilient and more valuable as compared to, let's say, like software, right? According to my experience, with software, is that AI is actually pretty good, even in embedded coding, because I do a lot of, embedded C++ and C stuff. So I can say for sure that it is 85 to 90% accurate, given that you make proper algorithm, flow and everything for a system. Once that is designed, then I think it's quite easy to basically write the actual code using AI. More of the heavy lifting is done by the AI. You just have to monitor and check if that is good. And this doesn't mean that the hardware jobs, they are secure. For example, recently NVIDIA claimed that they made their own proprietary model, like internal model, which can actually design chips and can do maybe like 7 or 10 engineers worth of work, overnight. So obviously this is not end to end yet, but like you can imagine that given the time, these models can improve, and then even like a chip designer can be replaced. Now another point, which is my fit in the industry. So honestly, because I am a young engineer, so I don't know yet which title I would work for a long time. For now it is systems engineer, but I would say quality wise, the work has to be unique, creative, something that uses my abilities, already existing abilities and interests. I would say fusion of tech and arts is something that I figured out that I will do long term, because I'm really inspired by Leonardo da Vinci, and it's crazy to even imagine that someone like him existed, who did both. He was excellent in engineering, he invented a lot of things, discovered a lot of things, and also he was amazing at arts as well, fine arts. I have been doing arts since my childhood. I've been sketching, I've been drawing, I've been painting as well. But then now I rediscovered that side, my art side, and I really enjoy painting with, you can say semi-realistic scenes and aquatic scenes in acrylic over canvas. And I can do it consistently. I don't get bored, and in fact it is very meditating for me. So from now onwards, these will be the two facets. I love electronics, I love technology as well, and I also love art at the same time. So some of the projects which I will explain later in the video, actually they combine both of the aspects together to make something unique, right? And then also I will have separate sides as well, right? So because of my choice of being creative and flexible around work, I think I would most likely end up doing some kind of business long term, after some time, and you'll see all of these projects soon. And the last reflection was a strong philosophy, which I already had before, but it was maybe a little bit blur. Now I reinforced it. So we should not expect everything from a job. No job is perfect, no matter how cool it is, how much there is to learn. But your expectation can be way different, and actually your interest even, some people don't even know what to do, right? Or what's the best match for them, right? So we shouldn't expect perfection. It's just that keep doing your work. At the same time, if your work doesn't allow your dreams to come true, then it's your job to continue it outside of work, right? It can also be serious things, not just like hobby, right? Like it can actually be a serious FPGA development, or embedded system design. And it is important to note that sometimes things go south in life, and many of the times you don't even have full control over it. For example, in my case, even though my technical profile was so strong, but at that time the job market was so bad that just to convince the recruiter was a big task. And they were thinking from the perspective of whether we could train or whether this person knows everything. I mean, how can you expect a newcomer, right, a fresher engineer to know everything, right? It's not possible. At the same time, just judging on the basis of experience is not enough, because experience is just one part, right? Then comes knowledge, and also I would say your personality, right? So some people, they are strong doers, right? No matter what, they can accomplish that task, and some who just refuse to fail. Therefore, it is very important, and I actually made this a strong part of my philosophy, is that no matter what, no matter the circumstances, no matter how bad things get, what you need to do is stick to your plan. Even if resources are limited, do something, right? And just believe in yourself, believe in yourself, keep doing that, and keep dreaming. And I think one day you'll be closer to achieving your dream, if not fully achieved.